Electric Fire Chapter 9 This Machine.
But then it hit me. Sonic might be on Gun's list as well. After all, he did help me to escape their clutches yesterday. I didn't want him to lose this home he's found. Tom and Maddie seemed nice. They were accepting of me instead of chasing me off or giving me the gun when I fell asleep. They could have turned me in easily when I fell asleep, but I'm glad they hadn't. I was now worried over my new friend. It was my fault if he got captured. I wasn't going to allow that. I'd have to come back once I find a place for Rouge and Omega.
Where are you going?
Sonic thumped me as I got up, getting ready to head down the stairs that led from his room to a small hallway. I need to get to Rouge and Omega somewhere safe. Gun could be after them as well, and I don't want to be the reason if they get caught. I can hold the soldiers back as long as I need to, but I don't want to lose anyone else to them. They took everything from me. I kept myself from crying or letting my anger out. I could barely control my emotions when I remembered the day the Ark was raided. Sonic stayed by though. He didn't budge. I was shaking a little, but controlling all the chaos wasn't easy. My fur started to glow a deep red color, but then it faded as I calmed down. Harming Sonic wasn't an option. I looked back at him, staying calm. My power was emotion-based, but because of the years in isolation, my powers were a bit unstable. The rings on my wrists though kept my energy level down, but once the rings were off, it would be highly unstable, as in if I used too much of it, blacking out was next stage. But keeping the rings off longer than blacking out, well, Gerald said it could easily be the end for me. Me and Sonic stayed silent for a few minutes. I continued down the stairs. Sonic followed behind. He didn't try and hide his footsteps. I didn't mind it much.
Actually, I think I know a place where Rouge and Omega would be safe. I know a guy named Carl. He's cool though. I used to mess with him before anyone knew about me. He'd set up some bear traps. I got my old shoes stuck in those things. Luckily for me, it only put holes in the bottom of my old shoes before I got these new ones. I take the holes instead of actually getting those things to snap on my ankle. Sure, it was dangerous, but I never felt more alive. But nowadays, me and Carl are cool. He stopped setting out traps. He's actually a great storyteller too. I think he could use company anyway. He lives alone, doesn't exactly have anyone to talk to.
Sonic could probably go on, but I listened as we made it onto actual solid floor. The wood stairs could probably use carpeting. Some of the boards had cracked a bit, but now we were in the hall heading for the kitchen, then to the front door. Gathering Rouge and Omega to leave was easy though. Alright Sonic, lead the way to Carl's. Rouge yawned a bit before lying on Omega's metallic shoulder.
So what's the plan, Shadow?
She asked as Omega followed behind Sonic. I followed alongside Omega. Tails ended up following us. I guess he wanted a place to stay. I felt kinda bad. Sonic was a bit shy at the moment. Guess he was still upset over the news he had heard yesterday. Tails stayed silent as he flew overhead using his two tails. Finding you two a safer place to stay, I'd rather face my own problems on my own than risk any more lives. I already lost my family to those jerks. I don't want to lose you or Omega to them. You helped me escape. Now I'm helping you. Rouge wasn't sure what to say. She understood my intentions, but she wasn't quite sure on if this was the right idea. She thought it would be better if we stayed as a team, but she guessed she'd let us choose on what to do. The five of us soon arrived to Carl's. It was actually kind of nice. Forest area. There was a shed in the back, perfect for Omega. Carl allowed the two to stay. I stayed there with Sonic for a bit, unsure if I should trust this human. But it did seem nice, telling us the story of how he first encountered Sonic. Seeing this man feared Sonic after seeing him, it's pathetic. I mean how humans just fear things they don't understand. Fear really is something that can turn others against you in a second. This guy tried to harm Sonic by setting up traps. I was almost shot back in the raid on the Ark. Guess me and Sonic were similar, though he and Carl actually got closer after others found out about the Blue Hedgehog. But it could be different for me. I gotta stay on the down low. As long as Rouge and Omega are safe, I'm happy. Well, now Tails is there too. He'll probably be better off there for right now, since Sonic is still a bit upset. I can understand though. We listened to Carl for a while before I went off with Sonic back to Tom's. I only decided to stay with him because I felt that his own life was in danger because of me. If Gunn knows about him, well, they'd be after him as well. We both raced towards Tom's. It was a tie when we got to the door. Sonic laughed a bit.
Well, what do you know? The edgelord can't keep up to me at Tom's speed.
I just smiled and scratched the back of my head. Yeah, I guess I still got my speed. Sonic was so energetic, he seemed to always be like this. I, on the other hand, was almost always frowning. This hedgehog seemed like a good friend, though he deserved my help if Gunn comes back for me. It was lunchtime when we got back to Tom and Maddie's. Tom wasn't home, but Maddie was. She was making grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. Sonic ran to the kitchen to greet Maddie. She seemed all too used to the green. She didn't even flinch for a second. She looked at Sonic and smiled. I then walked into the room. I didn't run in like Sonic. There was a rule back on the Ark, I remembered. No running unless it were an emergency. But only in the hall. And but living room. I was allowed to run anywhere else. It was forbidden. Maddie looked over to me and smiled.
So I suppose you decided to stay, Shadow?
She asked. I only nodded as she set a plate and a bowl on the table. She did the same 2 more times. Seemed Tom was out doing his job or helping someone else. Maddie was kind enough to allow me to eat with them. Sonic sat at the table, but waiting till everyone was seated, before we each ate our meal. It was a nice feeling being able to be accepted. It was almost as though I was part of a family again, though Tom wasn't home at the moment. After lunch, Sonic went back to his room, but first he rinsed out his bowl and plate. Maddie and I finished our meals and did the same.
Shadow, do you mind if we talk for a bit?
I nodded as I copied what Sonic did. I was still a little shy, though I did trust Maddie. She seemed nice. Maddie did the same with her dishes before going to the couch. I then followed her.